The guns that we recommend for home defense and for personal defense would be a striker-fired gun. The modern striker-fired guns like the Glocks, Springfield XDs, the M&Ps. Did you bring your M&P? Okay. All really good quality guns. I mean, people say, oh, well, they're plastic. They're plastic. Yes, they are plastic, which means they're lighter and easier to carry. But if you notice, there's not a lot of bells and whistles. There's not a lot of different buttons. You pull the gun out of the holster and pull the trigger. So they're definitely efficient. They're also very reliable. Why would there be millions of them in police departments if they weren't reliable? No extra buttons and levers to confuse you. They have one trigger pull. It's a fairly stiff trigger pull. We'll go through this later. But it's a very consistent trigger pull. Not hard to learn. Moderate length and weight of trigger pull. So when you're pulling the trigger, it's not like that double action that you're going forever. And they have a lower bore axis on the barrel, which means you're going to have less recoil to manage. That make sense? Generally, most people will not tell you what to go out and buy, but these are good options. The only caveat on these is the Springfield XD has a grip safe. And there have been people, if their hand doesn't fit the gun right, they can't use the gun, or it may not fire with that grip safe if they don't have a good purchase on the grip. Something you got to check, or something you got to worry about when you go look and buy a gun. Double action only, like I said before. They've got a little hammer on them, and they have the forever trigger. They are reliable, they are efficient, but they have that forever trigger. It's long, cumbersome pull, and it's generally heavy. They do have no extra buttons. It's basically the same as the Glock. Then the double single action semi-automatics. They are reliable. You start to lose efficiency because they have two trigger pulls. So now you have two things to learn. They have a decocker and a safe, more buttons to work with. They have one real long heavy trigger pull, and then they have a light trigger pull. And as you start getting into these, you have a significantly higher bore axis, which means you're going to get more recoil and more muzzle flow. Does this make sense? Then the single action semi-automatics. We got a friend that went to get his first gun, and he was all about buying that brand new Kimber. Oh God, it's a gorgeous gun. There's a couple of reasons. One, there are a couple of reasons we steered him away from it. One, it's a lot of gun to carry right out of the hole, not knowing anything about them. And two, efficiency and reliability. He's got, did you bring your Springfield?
Yep.
His Springfield 45, see I have one, I also have one. Mine's a little different, it's a double stack. But this thing will eat my reloads all day long. That gun will not even consider ingesting any of my reloads. It locks up all the time. So dollar for dollar, they're less reliable. They are expensive, they're pretty, but they are expensive, and they tend to be less reliable. They got a lot of, they can have extra buttons to master. They have the safe, they have ambidextrous safes, ambidextrous mag releases. They have the beaver tail safe on the back of the grip safe, and a significantly higher bore axis. And the thing that I don't like about them the most is they have a significantly lighter trigger. So if you pull that gun out and you're holding somebody at gunpoint, do you think you're going to be dead steady? You're going to be shaking. All it takes is a little shake, and we'll demonstrate that in a minute, how easy it is to touch that thing off. The higher bore axis with more muzzle flip. Revolvers. Obviously, you don't want that 6-gun. You don't want that single-action cowboy gun. Yes, it worked great when you were going up against somebody that had a cowboy gun. You said you want to go out and have a quick draw contest with somebody, by all means. This is not your defense gun. So, double action revolvers. This one's a great little defensive gun. The only problem with this is it's got a hammer spur on it. Easy to get hung up drawing it. Dave's got one that doesn't have a hammer spur on it.
No hammer spur. Has a hammer, but no spur.
So they are very reliable. I used to carry only wheel guns. I would only carry a revolver. In fact, it took him being bullheaded enough to get me to carry a Glock. He put his Glock 23 down in front of me, and I said, I don't want no plastic gun, I don't want Tupperware, I'm not going to shoot something I can wash in the dishwasher. All the cliches. He loads it, puts it on the bench in front of me, and says, here, just shoot it. So I shot it at 25 yards, shot a 2-inch group, and offhand, one-handed. And I was pretty happy with that. I was happy with myself. So I went out the next day and bought my first Glock. Didn't take much more convincing. Up until that point, I carried either that 45 or I carried a 44 Magnum revolver with the thought that if somebody got it away from me, they probably wouldn't be able to shoot me with it. It's got a pretty hefty recoil. And if you don't know it's coming, it's going to come out of your hand. So, revolvers are extremely reliable, and that's why I used to carry them. The old adage was they never jam. But they have a smaller capacity. In this state, really it's not so much anymore, because you can only carry 7 in a magazine. That little revolver carries 5. Yours is 5 or 6?
Yes, 5.
And the 44 is a 6. But they carry fewer rounds, and they are a little bit more labor intensive to reload. So you're losing some efficiency. And they have, you would never ever, and again we'll demonstrate this in a little bit, you would never want to use the single action on this gun. Always double action when you're shooting defensively. And it's a fairly long, heavy trigger pull. Most of them are about 12 pounds. And they have a significantly higher bore axis, causes much more muzzle rise. The other ones like Derringers, squeeze cockers, target guns, hunting guns. I was going to bring my hunting gun and I forgot about it. My hunting gun is like, you know, this long. And this is a target gun. It's a 22. And they will kill people, but it really doesn't have a lot of immediate knockdown power. And it's got a red dot on it. It's kind of heavy, pretty hard to carry. Not really a good gun for personal defense. A lot of them are reliable, they're just not practical. Is there any questions? Any questions at all?